Soweto community leaders have told the Human Rights Commission hearings into the July unrest that police were completely overwhelmed and unable to deal with the violence. They say the SAPs did not act despite warnings of an impending threat. The hearings are looking into what led to the unrest, which saw almost 350 people die in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Scores of businesses were looted. Major infrastructure was damaged.
All right, so let's stay with issues relating to the unrest. The second leg of the probe into the July unrest, as you heard earlier, by the South African Human Rights Commission continues in Gauteng. Police Minister Bheki Cele earlier told the inquiry that it had been clear that last year's unrest would take place despite the total failure of the country's intelligence services to provide early information about this. He was testifying, of course, last week. And then this week, we saw former State Security Minister Ayanda Dlodlo saying that there were warnings about the possibility of violence in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. This dates as far back as 2019. But these hearings, while they've been ongoing for quite some time, come as the expert panel appointed by the President has also released its report into the July unrest. So is it really beneficial to have both these processes unfold? Let's speak to Professor Koos Malan, who's a professor for public law at the University of Pretoria. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
And looking at the terms of reference, Prof, from the Human Rights Commission's investigation, they talk about how they're looking into the causes of the unrest, the apparent lapses in law enforcement by state security agencies. This, of course, includes SAPs. They also say that they're looking into some societal as well as economic, spatial and political factors that could have also played a role in this particular unrest. But this has also been covered extensively when you look at that expert panel report, by that panel that was appointed by the President. Is there a need for another probe to continue into what happened despite this report we just had?
Strictly speaking, actually not. If one would have accepted that the expert panel has done its work well, and I do not think there can be any objection brought in against the expert panel that they haven't done so. So if they have done their work well, I don't think there's actually any need for an additional report, an additional inquiry and an additional report. One should, however, take into account the fact that the HRC can actually investigate, can actually do an investigation of their own accord. That's the one thing. And secondly, also, even though by and large the focus areas would be the same in the sense that they will be dealing with the same subject matter, the same evidence, the focus is different in the sense that the panel, the expert panel, focused on the possible shortcomings specifically in the various state institutions responsible for state security and so on. In contrast to this investigation of the Human Rights Council, which actually a commission rather, which actually deals with human rights violations in the first place. So they will be dealing with the same subject matter, but the focus areas, what they actually want to arrive at, might be different. So on that account, there might be possibly some reason for saying, well, there could be a need for the commission also to investigate, to undertake their own investigation.
Listening to what you're saying, Prof, then that the focus areas may be different. Could there be then a delay here or an impact into the implementation of the recommendations that we saw from that expert panel report? Because the President said that they were going to act and will know what government is going to do. But if there's another probe, could we see government putting on the brakes for now to see what this probe has?
No, not at all. Actually, not at all. I mean, the President identified his own people, his own expert people, under the chairpersonship of Professor Sandy Africa, whom he wanted to do this investigation. He does have the report with him already as from November, even though it was only released in January. He had it in his possession already for 2 months after November. So, strictly speaking, the President can actually immediately act, and I can see no reason for a delay, specifically in view of the fact that it is not for the Human Rights Commission to actually make recommendations on policy that should be adopted by government. So no, I think the president should actually immediately act. In a sense, the president has already acted insofar as he has centralized all matters relating to state security in his own office, in the president's office. So in that sense, he has already acted.
So could we see then...
So I don't think we're dealing here with a delay. I think it's already undergoing.
So could we see, though, Prof, maybe let's say this report does come out and there are some aspects that could be different to what we saw in the expert panel report, maybe relating to the SAPS and some of what we are now hearing come out, the minister saying that he only got sight of that intelligence report 5 months later. Could we see some court challenges in this particular regard?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I can't see the possibility of any court challenge, specifically because the chances of any court action, any action for damages or so flowing from this commission's investigation, those chances are actually slender. The investigations focus on something else, and namely policy that has to be adopted and, very importantly, implemented by government in order to avoid something of the same kind as than what we've seen last year in July. I should also say, even though the Commission most probably will not say so, they will not kind of confess, so to say, or admit is the better word, that they have taken notice of the content of the experts panel report. I think they will take notice of that, and I think they will tactfully see to it that they actually might possibly add on to it, but I don't think they will say anything which cause controversies within its report, in contrast to that of the expert panel.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for your time and those insights. I do appreciate them for really just putting us in the picture here about really how these two processes can coexist. We do appreciate that. That was Professor Koos Malan. He's the Professor for Public Law at the University of Pretoria.